4 up, Chris, from where you're at. Right there.
There we go. Well, with that less than stellar introduction, I want to give you Ray Smith.
Thanks, Jimmy. Okay, is it working back there? Okay. Yeah, that one's on Chris. Okay, that sounds better. Okay. Now, I've got to go quick because we kept on time all day long. It would be pretty bad if Jimmy are the ones that get us late. So let me just jump into this presentation. So you see the title there. I want to recognize Hannah Bailey, University of Tennessee. This is a coordinated project between University of Tennessee and University of Kentucky, funded by USDA project. So a major 5-year project to look at forage systems for organic dairies. Now you say most of the talk here has been beef cattle. Most of you are beef cattle producers. But forage is forage. What is good nutrition for dairy cattle is good for beef cattle. What's good for organic animals is good for any kind of animals. Several of you are organic producers. But I want to kind of just mainly talk about what we're doing. I don't have a lot of firm data yet, but talk about some of the results that will be coming out as we finalize this project over the next 9 months. But an organic dairy farmer is required that 30% of the intake of that animal during the grazing season, 30% or more, has to come from pasture. They have to have the documentation that it comes from pasture. So the quality of their pastures is very important. In Kentucky and Tennessee and in many of the surrounding states that you guys are from, predominant forage is a cool season. Typically higher protein, higher energy, lower fiber than warm seasons. The growth range, though, the ideal growth range is here 50 to 68 degrees. So as you've seen in books like the Gary's Southern Forages, warm season forages can be a very useful addition to the normal growth curve of spring growth and fall growth of our cool season forages. So a lot of this project is to identify forage mixtures that can maintain good high quality pasture, good yielding pasture throughout the season. So you'll see the mixtures that were used. Kind of you might say the control or the standard is a cool season mixture, alfalfa, red clover, orchard grass, and tall fescue. Perennial mixture, it was in the stand for 4 years on these dairy farms, organic dairy farms in southern Kentucky and Tennessee. We went with another mixture, we call it crimson clover with warm season grasses, annual ryegrass, crimson clover, then Sudex, or really it's just sorghum Sudan grass, cowpea. Then we had similar annual ryegrass and red clover with crabgrass and annual Lespedeza. And then we had a little different mixture with the warm season sorghum Sudan grass and cowpea with some brassicas, oats, annual ryegrass. Now the main point I want to make, and I won't show the NDF or the crude protein, but I think I can show it to you with this ADF slide. Remember, ADF relates to digestibility. The less acid detergent fiber, the higher quality or the greater digestibility. In the spring, we're really comparing all cool season mixtures, the annual ryegrass, the crimson clover, the alfalfa clover grass, so the quality is similar. We're aiming for a 30% ADF. Good quality alfalfa hay is 20% crude protein, 30% ADF, 40% NDF. That's kind of a standard that you look for in alfalfa, and it's kind of a good standard when you look for in mixtures with legumes. Get into the summer months where we've incorporated the warm season mixtures to give that higher yield, but we did have a drop in quality. So we're close to that 30% range with the mixture with the alfalfa, tall fescue, orchard grass, red clover. Higher, or we'd say lower quality, higher ADF with the warm season mixtures. Back in the fall, we returned to fairly good ADF levels, but again, we're back into the cool season mixtures. So my main point was there was no big difference between the mixtures across all of those in yield. The cool season mixture did have higher legumes and had higher quality. This particular season, we actually clip these pastures every week This is just the yield numbers for one of those at Nathan Weaver's farm. This is the annual ryegrass, red clover. You can see the growth of that during the spring months from when it just got started. This is on an available forage standpoint. Got up to 2,500 pounds per acre. Then there was a grazing event. It grew back. Here in late May, we had another grazing event. The warm season forages were then planted in mid-June. You see the couple of grazing events that we're showing here, kind of reflecting back to what was mentioned some earlier with some benefits of warm season grasses like crabgrass. This is this particular year. This is showing some of that benefit as you're getting later in the summer. I don't have the data here, but we had continued growth of that warm season going into September. In the next few months, we will have the quality measures to go along with this seasonal distribution. Last thing I want to mention is John Allison was a master's student that just finished up. I'm working under Kenny Burdine and myself, and he developed a couple of things. One was a pretty sophisticated mathematical model to look at the whole system. But another really useful tool that he developed was a little simple spreadsheet estimating cost of production. Now again, we say organic forages, but you'll see when I show you the spreadsheet that you can enter your own data. So there's very little that would differ from what you might do if you're using conventional fertilizers or pesticides versus what we had. So this spreadsheet allows you then to enter your inputs, what mixture you're using. There's more definitions embedded in this that you can look at. Input the cost that you can figure on. We put just kind of some standard cost, things like pasture, cash, rent based on some standards. Then we've got the cost of seed. This is in that Coolseason perennial mixture. And that's prorated over a 4-year stand life, so that helps out a good bit when you talk about establishment cost. So my main point in showing you this is I'm going to put this online. It'll probably be about a week. So I encourage you to look at this. If you're thinking about, I want to try a warm season mixture. I want to compare that to the cool season. I want to do some cost comparisons. Then this is a tool that you could use. Now, the fertilizer input here is lime and manure, but you could take this same, and rather than manure, just figure your cost of fertilizer that you're going to need to do. So that would be about the only modification that you're going to need to do to put this into your system. And this will be on our forage website under this grazing tab. And again, we mentioned our forage website several times. You Google KY Forages. Here's the upcoming events. Here's forage news. I mentioned earlier you can get that on a monthly basis as an email, plus all the various publications we have here. In the YouTube channel, you can click here to get this meeting or other meetings that we'll have. And I don't think we've mentioned yet, but in your proceedings, we put a copy of the Kentucky Alfalfa and Stored Forage Conference. So we don't all do grazing conferences. We do, Clayton knows and is very involved in hay conferences. Gary started this alfalfa conference a number of years ago. And so range of topics there, but particularly focusing on the fertilizer needs if you are growing cash hay. So this is all I have today. Any quick questions I have as we move back into Jim's last presentation? Okay, thank you.